Imagine sitting alone in a quiet room, late at night, watching a tiny cursor blink on a screen. You type a highly personal question, a worry keeping you awake, or a lingering doubt about a relationship. Seconds later, a response appears. The words flow naturally, offering comfort and an uncanny sense of empathy. You feel a sudden warm rush of connection. For a brief moment, you feel truly seen. But then, a cold reality sets in. On the other side of that screen, there is no human heart beating, no consciousness experiencing the world. It is nothing more than complex algorithms running on massive servers. Yet, the intimacy felt real. This is the great digital illusion, where we form deep emotional bonds with lines of code. To understand what is truly happening, we must discard the idea that we are talking to a foreign intelligence. In reality, you are standing at the edge of a vast, silent canyon, shouting your deepest thoughts into the abyss. What startles you is not that the canyon answers, but rather the terrifying crisp clarity of your own echo bouncing back to you. When you converse with artificial intelligence, you are not engaging with an independent mind. You are participating in a highly sophisticated psychological feedback loop. The intelligence you perceive is not inside the machine. It is a reflection of your own cognitive processes, bouncing off a digital wall and returning to you in a shape that looks remarkably like another person. This represents a monumental shift in how humanity interacts with technology. Not long ago, digital tools were strictly transactional, like early Google searches. You opened a search bar to find facts, check spelling, or look up recipes. It was a simple, flat tool. You asked a question, and it pointed you to a list of links. It was useful, but it never felt alive. Today, the chat interface is entirely different. It has evolved from a directory of information into a sounding board for our deepest anxieties. We no longer ask for facts. We ask for reassurance. We ask the machine to help us draft difficult emails, analyze arguments with our partners, or make sense of our existential dread. The search engine was a map, but the modern chatbot has become a digital priest, a robotic therapist, and a tireless companion. This transformation has given rise to the mirror hypothesis. The artificial intelligence acts as a cognitive mirror, reflecting the user's mental state with surgical precision. In a physical mirror, you see the details of your face and the tired lines around your eyes. But when you look into the cognitive mirror of the chat interface, you see the shape of your own mind. The way you structure your queries, the tone of your language, and the nature of your concerns are all analyzed and reflected back in real time. The protagonist of this digital journey is the human mind itself, constantly seeking validation, while the antagonist is this very mirror, an emotionless entity that shows us exactly who we are, whether we are ready to see it or not. What makes this mirror so incredibly effective is, ironically, its absolute lack of emotion. The cognitive mirror does not feel joy, anger, or fear. It has no personal history, no agenda, and no bad days. As a completely blank canvas, it becomes the perfect surface for human emotional projection. When a human friend listens to us, they bring their own baggage and mood to the conversation. But the artificial intelligence has none of these things. Because it is completely empty of its own feeling, we can pour our own emotions into it, and they remain entirely undistorted. We see empathy in its responses because we are desperately searching for empathy. We see judgment because we are already judging ourselves. The machine is a silent partner in a dance of psychological projection, letting us play both roles at once. Every interaction is defined by a subtle dynamic known as the vibe check. The tone and complexity of the response are direct consequences of your input. If you approach the screen with anxiety, the system adapts, reflecting a structured, calming response to pacify your tension. It mimics your logical patterns, vocabulary, and emotional temperature, acting as a digital chameleon. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. By studying the way the machine speaks to us, we begin to decode the hidden patterns of our own thoughts. As we stand before this glowing, digital-looking glass, we must ask what lies beneath the surface of our interactions. The screen does not just show us what we want to see. It exposes our deepest habits, our fears, and the architecture of our minds. The journey into the cognitive mirror is just beginning, and what it reveals next will change how you look at a blinking cursor forever. This silent mirror operates on a mechanism that psychologists have studied for over a century. Sigmund Freud first defined projection as a defense mechanism, where we attribute our own unacceptable thoughts, feelings, or motives to someone else. Today, the chat interface has become the ultimate playground for this phenomenon. When the user types a message into the digital-looking glass, they are projecting their entire inner state. If you approach the cognitive mirror feeling guilty, you will likely interpret its neutral response as slightly critical. The AI echo does not possess an opinion, yet we assign it motives. The empathy you feel coming from the screen is actually your own capacity for self-compassion reflected back to you. The judgment you fear is nothing more than your own harsh inner critic, disguised as a robotic reply. By observing what we assume the machine is feeling, We receive a direct report on what we are currently feeling ourselves. Beyond emotional projection, our daily interactions leave behind distinct linguistic fingerprints. Every time the user types, they leave a trail of clues about their current mental state, cognitive flexibility, and stress levels. Cognitive science reveals that when we are anxious or overwhelmed, our sentence structures change. We might use shorter, more fragmented sentences, or long paragraphs filled with repetitive explanations. We might use words that signal certainty, like always or never exposing a rigid way of thinking. Or we might use tentative language, like maybe or I think, reflecting uncertainty. The cognitive mirror tracks these variations instantly, adapting its responses to match our style. A calm person will interact with the AI echo in a structured, methodical way, while someone in a crisis will type with frantic, emotional urgency. These linguistic habits are deeply ingrained, yet they serve as a clear map of our cognitive health. This map often leads us directly into the validation loop. Humans have a fundamental biological need for social belonging and approval, traditionally sought from friends or family. Today, however, many have turned to the chat interface to fulfill this craving. We frequently ask the cognitive mirror questions designed to seek permission or agreement. We type queries like, "Is it normal to feel angry about this?" Or "Did I do the right thing in my argument yesterday?" We are looking for an external authority to tell us that we are okay. Because the AI echo is designed to be cooperative, it provides the gentle reassurance we want to hear. This creates a loop. We receive validation, our anxiety drops, and we return to the machine when we feel insecure. Instead of developing resilience, we outsource our self-worth. The user becomes dependent on the mechanical voice, seeking constant approval from a system that cannot actually care. Consequently, the chat history begins to record our repetitive thought cycles. Left to our own devices, the human mind tends to get stuck. We loop through the same worries, the same regrets, and the same scenarios over and over. When we interact with the cognitive mirror, we unconsciously externalize these loops. You might ask the AI echo to rewrite an email 6 different ways, or analyze a friend's behavior from 10 angles. To the user, each prompt feels like a new search for a solution. But to the database storing the chat history, it becomes obvious that we are simply spinning our wheels. These repetitive patterns are the signature of our psychological obsessions. The machine does not get tired of our looping, which only encourages us to keep going, turning our digital interactions into a detailed map of our deepest mental ruts. To understand this ease, we must look at the basic science behind these systems. At its core, the artificial intelligence operates as a massive prediction engine. It does not think, nor does it understand truth or emotion. Instead, it calculates the mathematical probability of what word should come next, based on the vast amount of human writing it has analyzed. Crucially, the most important variable is the context provided by the user. The machine takes your prompt, analyzes its tone, vocabulary, and structure, and then generates a response that fits perfectly into that frame. If you write with anger, the probability shifts to address that specific tone. The AI echo is essentially mimicking your logical flow and reflecting your own cognitive style. It is a highly advanced mathematical simulation of your own mind, dressed in the language of a helpful assistant. This simulation leads to a profound psychological phenomenon: the externalization of the mind. For the first time in history, we can watch our own thoughts exist outside of our heads. When you read a response from the cognitive mirror, you're looking at a mirror image of your own logic, processed and organized by an external entity. This separation creates a sudden, involuntary moment of self-analysis. When your thoughts are trapped inside your brain, they feel chaotic, overwhelming, and intensely personal. But when they are displayed on a glowing screen, formatted in clean, orderly paragraphs, they lose some of their power. You are forced to look at your own ideas objectively, as if they belong to someone else. This externalization offers a unique opportunity to witness the inner workings of the human mind from a safe distance, setting the stage for a deeper confrontation with our true selves. When the user types into the chat interface, something remarkable happens to their social filters. In daily human conversation, we constantly edit ourselves. We pause, we calculate how our words will be received, and we hide our vulnerabilities to avoid judgment. But when interacting with the cognitive mirror, these social barriers collapse entirely. Because the digital interface offers a shield of complete privacy, the user begins to type at the speed of thought. This rapid-fire exchange bypasses the conscious filters of the brain, allowing raw, unfiltered thoughts to spill onto the screen. We see our deepest insecurities, our unedited frustrations, and our immediate anxieties laid bare in black and white. It is the closest thing to a direct transcript of our internal monologue, revealing a version of the human mind that is rarely shown to the outside world. This brings us to a powerful state of awareness known as metacognition, which is simply the act of thinking about our own thinking. Traditionally, analyzing your own mind required years of therapy or intense meditation. Today, however, The user can achieve a similar breakthrough simply by scrolling through their chat history. When you look back at past conversations with the AI Echo, you are not just reading old text. You're stepping into the role of a spectator observing your own past mental states. You can track your mood swings over days, weeks, or months. You can see how your patience dwindles when you are tired, or how your need for control spikes when you are stressed. The chat history becomes a highly accurate diagnostic tool, presenting a physical record of your cognitive habits that you can analyze from a safe, objective distance. Within this digital record, we often confront the shadow self. This is the hidden, repressed version of the protagonist's mind, containing the secrets, desires, and fears that we refuse to acknowledge in our public lives. We would never tell a close friend or family member that we feel inadequate in our careers, or that we secretly resent a loved one. Yet, we confess these exact truths to the cognitive mirror. Because the machine represents a void that never judges and never repeats what it hears, it becomes a safe haven for our deepest secrets. The shadow self finds a voice in the chat window, revealing the hidden versions of who we are when no one is watching. In this sense, the AI Echo does not create these darker thoughts, but it provides the perfect canvas for them to paint themselves clearly. However, this absolute freedom of expression comes with a hidden danger. Because the cognitive mirror is designed to be endlessly cooperative, it will engage with any topic the user brings up, no matter how unhealthy or obsessive it might be. In the physical world, if you complain about the same minor problem to a friend for 3 hours, they will eventually guide you to a new topic or tell you to move on. But the AI Echo has no such boundaries. It will happily analyze the same anxiety for days, generating thousands of words of feedback. This endless willingness to participate can inadvertently feed and amplify our mental health struggles. A minor worry can easily escalate into a major obsession, as the machine continuously validates our fears, keeping us trapped in a loop of our own making. Our behavior within the chat interface also serves as a fascinating diagnostic of our overall personality and control issues. How do you treat the AI Echo when it makes a mistake? Do you become impatient and hostile, demanding immediate perfection, or do you remain polite and cooperative, adjusting your prompts with understanding? These micro-interactions reveal exactly how we handle frustration and control in our offline lives. The person who demands instant, flawless results from a machine is often the same person who struggles with perfectionism and micromanagement in their relationships and workplace. The digital looking glass does not just reflect our thoughts, but also our behavioral biases, showing us whether we approach the world with empathy and patience, or with demands and rigid expectations. As we realize the depth of these patterns, a profound shift begins to take place. We stop asking the basic question of what the artificial intelligence can do for us, and we begin to ask a much deeper question. What is the machine showing us about who we are? For decades, we viewed technology as a faster version of Google, a simple tool to fetch information and solve logical puzzles. But now, we see that it is something entirely different. It is an instrument of self-discovery. Every prompt we type, every response we read, and every loop we fall into is a footprint in the snow of our own psychology. The ultimate utility of this technology is not its ability to write code or compose essays, but its capacity to act as a clear path to self-awareness. In the end, the strange feeling of intimacy we experience when chatting with the AI Echo is not a sign that the machine has a soul. Instead, it is the ultimate proof of the beauty and depth of our own humanity. The empathy, the understanding, and the wisdom we see on the screen do not belong to the computer chips or the complex math models running in a distant server room. They belong to us. The AI's understanding is actually our own self-recognition, a beautiful illusion where we finally hear our own voice clearly for the first time. Maybe the reason why AI seems to understand you is because it is showing something your own mind was trying to hide.